freezing, it's pouring down rain, it's miserable, and because I say so. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. If anybody has a problem with it, oh well. I hope everybody's having a wonderful, what's today? Today's Tuesday? Is it Tuesday? I think it's Tuesday. Sorry, I'm trying to get this thing set up so you guys don't get annoyed by a bunch of trolls and stuff. And when I come from my phone, it doesn't give me an opportunity to fix all this stuff before it gets here. So just bear with me, folks. Bear with me. I hope you guys are doing well. We're going to be discussing the Lore Lodge. What's going on here? Let's try this again. There we go. Oh, what rotten a-holes. Okay. All right. Well, maybe it's all good. Hey guys, nice to see you. Sorry. I see you guys now. I see you. The real me too. It's nice to see you. Lisa B always can't see me. I can see you. Danielle, it's nice to see you. Mickey, Shell, Meow, Leah, it's nice to see you. Melanie. D's Mystery Obsessed, our beautiful guidance. Oh, X is just beginning. Lore and SF. I know. Well, some of the videos are quite hilarious in my book. Good morning. It's nice to see you. True Crime Junkie, SRK, Truth in Time. Anna, Denise, Lisa, we got Oakley, Justice Jane. Good morning, my love. I hope you're doing well. MJ, good morning. Everybody coming in. Tippy Toe. Oh, Tippy Toe, it's nice to see you, love. Savvy's aunt, me and you, it's nice to see you. I have to say it was funny how you just made a video. Murda on Cellbrite, then he met. I know! There were a few things that were brought up on the Bullhorn Betty channel that were brought up last night as part of a response, but we all know he's been taking other people's work and research for a really, really long time, and boy, I'm glad I got to prep him for that important interview he had. Oh crap, I should have brought my buttons in. That sounds like work. It means I'm gonna have to get my butt out of bed, go into the living room, and I'm just not ready. I've been drinking coffee. I got 4 cups of coffee. I started this morning at 4 o'clock in the morning. You know, so in all reality, it's almost 10. So I've almost been working a full day, and some of you guys are just getting out of bed. So just saying. I was so confused the whole time. Leah, don't worry. We all were. You guys should have, if you guys weren't in there, I know it was moving so stinking quick. But I'm literally like, finish a damn sentence. Finish a damn sentence. And then, it's so funny. I'm on X. Okay, now guys, I know you guys know I post on X. I really don't pay attention to X all that much. But, you know, occasionally, and I will go to their pages. I check a few pages. One, because Hong's been so active. Where did Hong's go? Hong's been so active. I've been searching Hong, so to speak. So let me go actually search him now. And he put together this funny 3-minute video, and I gotta say, I about died. Is this it? No, this is just a picture. Hold on. Where is it? Where is it? Here it is. Here it is.
You know, and I'm not saying that you're wrong. I don't know what happened, Sebastian. I don't know where he is. I don't know what happened. So I don't know. Very well, you're right. I'm in this business. I would never, if I found out Chris and Petey or Seth or anybody did it, if I found out somebody did something to Sebastian, I would go at them so hard. And the reason is so.
I've got the actual interview, and I found something I found, because at the very beginning he's talking about his credentialing, his accolades, how he got here, and all this other stuff. Another thing he said is he worked for a law firm, which is funny because then at the 20-minute mark, he says he's never worked for an attorney for defense or prosecution. So I'm like, huh? And it was really the whole situation, especially with his background. The only reason why I don't believe any of it, I think it can be researched. Like he said, it was 25 years ago. He worked for department, the state of Texas is what he basically said. So that could be FOIA'd if that's true. But it was all the fragmenting he did. It was let's pull it up. I'll show you. He's asked a simple question, and it should be, well, I mean, somebody asked me how I got into this. I was a political activist. Somebody from our political group was a distant relative to Gabby Petito. They asked us to look into it. We went out there. We knew they were lying. We took some of our tools from our political stuff and applied them in front of the house. That's basically it. We didn't mean to be, people to pay attention or anything like that. We were just doing what we thought was right. Next thing you know, it gave us a platform, gave me a name, Bullhorn Betty. You got an elevator speech. This guy went way past an elevator speech on how he got here. He went into so much over-explaining in what I deem as convincing language that it's I don't know. I don't know. Hey, Rod, it's nice to see you. I'm going to show you guys, and I'll play this. I'm sorry, I couldn't stand hearing. I couldn't either. Are you kidding me? I couldn't even. I had to keep walking away. I had to keep cooking. I kept popping things in the microwave to snack on, right? Because I was sitting there, and he had the thumbnail when you're just waiting for for it to start. You know how it shows you the thumbnail? Well, his face is right there. There's freaking beady ass eyes. So I had to just keep walking away. It was driving me nuts. I don't know what it is about that man that drives me absolutely bonkers, but I don't want anything to do with him. I go out of my way to avoid him. Literally out of the way. Okay. So I want you guys to listen to this. Hold on. Let's get past the intro. Let's go backwards. Okay.
After we did one of our Sebastian Rogers live streams, I got into a bit of an interaction with Steve Fisher here, who's
hopefully you guys can see that.
Case.
I can turn it.
A little bit tense, but I think we've gotten to a good spot where we agree we're doing this for the right reasons. We're in the same place mentally.
Sorry, if I need to turn the light off, I will.
On what may have happened in this case. So, I think what I have been wondering this whole time is, where is the other side coming from in this? And I thought there's no better way to get to the bottom of that, no better way to understand.
Missing persons ran through there.
Okay.
I thought my crew.
You say you're a private investigator.
Okay.
Obviously, you're
here it
licensed
is. Let's listen.
States.
Listen with your ears.
Regulations here in Pennsylvania, you have to be a detective for 3 years first. So one thing I think a lot of people would love to know is, what are your credentials and how did you get into this line of work?
So originally, I thought my career path was going to be aviation, and it oddly started through that. I got my commercial pilot's license, and while I was building time, one of the jobs I got as an apprentice was with the state of Texas, and
now I just want to ask you guys something before we get too far into this. How many people we got here? Let's see what guidance says. I sat back and thought what we heard last night, how a real conversation would be between SF and CP, in my opinion. I don't have enough squirrels for those hamster wheels. I know. But let me ask you guys something. Now, you guys you all do something, whether you're retired, whether you work for a person, whether you work for yourself, you all have skills, you all have a job, you all have a path to get there. When somebody asks you how you got here, would you be like, I want you to listen to this, because for 30 seconds, he doesn't even answer. He's bouncing all over the place. And that's the problem I'm having with this, is why, if somebody's asking you a simple question on how you got here, how are you bouncing all over the place? How is it an like cat got your tongue. This is like, I feel he should have been prepared with his elevator speech. We all have an elevator speech, right? It's 30 seconds of what you do. When I was doing insurance, my elevator speech was, I'm a professional problem solver, right? I'm still in part a professional problem solver, depending on your problem. Sometimes I am the problem, right? You don't want to have a BHB problem. No, I saw your comments get deleted right before I got timed out. So embarrassed. Who? Mine got deleted? Why were mine being deleted? He wasn't. I mean, I was being respectful. The man wasn't talking. Like, answer a damn question. Well, they didn't. If they did remove my comments, I didn't get timed out or anything. So I didn't even know my comments were being. I mean, I think with 5,000 people, it's stupid to delete comments or even try to moderate the chat for a variety of reasons. One, it's moving so fast, people aren't really paying attention to it. Deceptive Detective's comment in chat made me literally laugh. What did he say, Jules? Because I remember when he at this part here, I remember one of the first things I said was fragmented sentences, right? I said it, I'm like, it's in the deception deck. It's in the deception deck. I love those cards though. And I finally put them all in order for my brain. Like, I put all of the words in order. I put all of like the I don't know what you would call it, like the cue cards, and the explanation cards. Like, for example, like clustering is more of an explanation card to explain, you know, that just because a few of the word cards, the deceptive word cards are used, or the passive voice or something like that is used, doesn't necessarily mean that they're deceptive. So you have to have, you know, in the opinion of the deception detective, you have to have multiple clusters of these certain things for it to really be a deceptive statement. So I'm putting all of those into categories so my brain will process I'm hoping my brain will process the information a little bit quicker. But obviously he's got years of experience. I got a deck of cards. Right? I mean, if you really want to put it in perspective. But it is interesting, yes, but it is interesting to, you know, read the cards or hear something and then the card pop into your head. It's kind of neat when it starts doing that. So I'm thoroughly enjoying the cards. We're going to be playing with them. Obviously, the cards for us is entertainment purposes. If you really want to know how to use the cards and what they really truly mean and how they're applied, you need the deception detective, because he knows a lot more. He seems to be smarter than a fifth grader, okay? Bullhorn Betty is not. I'm just saying. So, anyways, let me go up here and read. Hold on. I know she answered me. I just saw her. Oops. Went too far. SF. I blame Jules and Bullhorn Betty for everything. That's about it. Everybody blames me for everything. I mean, I didn't know I had all this time. Like, I'm sitting here thinking, if I had like all these different accounts, like, they think I would really be messing with them. Like, I have an ex-boyfriend and his freaking home wrecker. I could literally be effing with them all day long. Like, I would be using these sock accounts much better than chasing them around. I can promise you that. So, I mean, duh. I can't wait to see when he talks to Seth. That should be interesting. Yeah, I don't know what's expected, what would be expected from that. I'm curious of what information he's getting from. And you know what? It's like, I also find it awfully weird that so many people believe that many of us that are on this case and are, believe and support Seth. And many people act like we've never looked into him. I don't know how many times that somebody's come up here and said, "Have you reviewed this interview? Have you reviewed that interview?" Yeah, I have reviewed it. At the end of the day, we have supporting documentation that Seth had nothing to do with the disappearance of his son. End of subject for me, right? End of subject for me. If he had nothing to do with it, he had nothing to do with it. The man hasn't lived there long enough to have a whole lot of people he can trust and rely on for something like this. He's not a millionaire. He's on a deputy sheriff's salary. It's not the most glamorous. He lives paycheck to paycheck. He has no family there. I mean, when you really strip this down, there's nothing. There's just nothing. And the ignorance of people thinking that people just careened on the mom and stepfather. No, there's reasons why. And it's because something doesn't smell right. We're looking at the behaviors of law enforcement. Law enforcement hasn't left Hendersonville. I don't know if you guys have noticed that or not, but you got one parent in 2 counties over, and I'm sorry, but nobody has left that county. And the idea that I haven't seen anything to support that shows me lack of, analytical thinking. Or even standard police protocol or policies and procedures being applied. Like, what standard is he using? They were the last people that saw this child. This child did not look happy. The story that they fed the whole entire world for 10 solid months was that Sebastian had the best day he has ever had. That he really had an amazing weekend. That's what we heard. Yeah, raise your hand or put a 1 in the chat if you heard that come out of the mom or stepfather's mouth, either or at any time in the past, that he had a great weekend. If you heard them, put a 1 in the chat. If you've never heard the parents acknowledge that, the mom or stepdad acknowledge that, please put a 2 in the chat. But we were told for 10 solid months, 10 solid months, that Sebastian had the best weekend ever. Now, granted, we didn't get to see any footage from inside Strikes and Spares, right? And we didn't see anything from the Texas Roadhouse. We learned that there was footage from the Texas Roadhouse because early on, Seth went down to the Sumner County Police Department or Sheriff's Department or office, whatever you want to call it, sheriff's office, and was provided a proof of life video where he expressed, they didn't show him really a whole lot, but it did show his son getting into the vehicle with Katie. And that's all he had was a proof of life. And he even made mention about his demeanor did not bode with that of having a really good weekend. He was expecting him to be really joyful and happy, and he just was not. But that was all. All we got was verbal confirmation that a video existed and what was perceived from the father's eyes of that video. But we all got to see that video for ourselves at the beginning of December. The first releases of that video started coming out. And what is the one thing that everyone noticed, and everyone noticed almost immediately? Sebastian did not look like he was having the best weekend of his life. And I'm sorry, that is one of the things that was pumped into our heads from the mom and stepfather about this child and this weekend before he disappeared as having a really, really great weekend. Sebastian did not look like he was having a really great weekend. And then shortly after that, we learned of 5 CPS reports. We learned, or maybe it was right before that, we learned of the 5 CPS reports. But I think the most bombshell information that literally should have been the most breaking news, it wasn't the 5 CPS reports. It was the fact that the mom and stepfather had been trying to rehome or get rid or move Sebastian out of their home since October 2022, less than a month after moving into their new home, their new beautiful home. They wanted him out. They wanted to evict their son that they say that they love so much. Never, ever, ever come around to this. Hey, allegedly with Brittany's up in the house. It's nice to see you, honey bunny. Very interesting to learn. SF has never spoken to law enforcement. Yes, yes, yes. All of those ex posts, all of those moments on all of these channels where he implied he has been speaking with law enforcement regularly. Then Hong calls him out in a text message, and that facade breaks apart. And much like Christopher Proudfoot, he gets called up there. He's asked a very specific question, and he finally is forced to tell the truth that he hasn't even hardly spoke to law enforcement, if at all. I think what his exact words is, they know of me. I sent them my engagement letter. Are you serious? After all these months of bashing, now we found that he didn't find a girl. He manufactured reports. He didn't know what he was talking about. And we found out he's not even the one that made those reports. He plugged something into AI, and AI produced the reports. Was it so he could try to sound smart? Because AI has to work in such a way where you kind of got to walk the information into it. So depending on what information you're feeding into AI is dependent on what's going to be popping out of AI. Right? I'm pretty sure a lot of you guys are using AI right now. AI doesn't work unless it has information. So it's not like you can say, hey, can you give me the video range of, or the view range of a camera on blah, 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 Stafford Court, and it automatically give you that. It doesn't work that way. Like, you've got to feed in a lot of data, and it has to be accurate data. If you get 1 degree off, your AI program's worthless. It's worthless. Hey, Alicia, it's nice to see you. I saw chaos up in here. Faye, good morning, River. Allegedly, that was BS and should have been stopped and addressed. But you know what? I feel bad in part because I kind of feel like I understand. I feel like a piece of me understands why certain things weren't challenged on the record. Because if you notice, there weren't really anything challenged and I don't mean, when I say challenged, I don't mean like an argument ensue. I mean like, if you know that there is no pedo allegations, or you can't support the pedo allegations because there's got to be evidence somewhere, right? And that was basically the evidence that he has to support those statements is, well, there's got to be evidence somewhere, right? That's not evidence. So it's like, I would have liked to see him respectfully confront that statement. Well, so you don't have any physical information about this, even though you work for the alleged victim. Can you please explain that? Very respectfully, but challenging the information, challenging the statement made. We didn't get that. So we know that based upon other interviews we've reviewed from the Lore Lodge, we know that Aiden has that back and forth in him to challenge, and in some cases aggressively challenge some of the statements, and he chose not to do that in this particular situation, even though there were, based upon what I perceived his body language to be, was there were at least multiple occasions, small little parts throughout the 2.5 hour interview where it looked like he restrained himself from actually, respectfully challenging some information. And I did kind of see that with my own eyes. So it makes me feel like if he restrained himself, that means he did that for a purpose. He had an end goal. Otherwise, he would not have restrained himself. So I'd have to think that he didn't want to rock the boat. This is just my opinion, that he must not have wanted to rock the boat because he still wants to have that open dialogue and further communication later down the road. That could be very well what it could be. I don't know that specifically, but that's what it could be. Exactly, Betty. I don't blindly support anyone. I've looked into all the parents and Seth. Check. Exactly. We, and what did it for me is I'm not looking for a perfect parent, because there's been times I've covered cases where we've had no family support whatsoever. It did not hinder me and did not stop my work. But we would always love to have, a family member, of support. It's hard to explain, but we are not looking for perfect parents because some of the cases we have, we're not even perfect, but like, for example, let me quit beating around the bush. For example, Harmony Montgomery, okay? Harmony Montgomery is a great example. Her mother was not the best mother in the world, right? Her mother did drugs. Her mother allowed her daughter to go into foster care because she didn't clean her act up. At some point later down the road, her mom did clean herself up. Her mom did want to have a relationship with her daughter and was desperately trying to find the daughter after her daughter went into her father's custody. She had dropped out, again, not a whole lot of communications. Took almost 2 years to start getting the case opened and somebody to try to find her daughter. She was not a perfect parent, and in many cases, probably somebody I would classify as a piece of shit, okay? But would it stop me from helping her? No, it wouldn't. Why? Because she had absolutely nothing, and I mean nothing, to do with her daughter's disappearance or death. So if the flip side is I am not looking for a perfect parent. I'm just looking for a parent that wants help and that didn't do anything to put themselves in this particular position. Anything over and above that, I could care less about. If it has a direct correlation with the case, yes, everything needs to be explored. Even people's past and histories have to be explored, right? Because you never know what's in their past path that might lead to answers for the situation that you're in. You just don't know until you look. The good news is that we're social media, so we don't have any abracadabra. We have no secret sauce. All our secret sauce is everybody here, all the creators that are in the chat, all the creators that we support and go and watch and everything, have one thing in common. You know what that one thing in common we all have? Public records, our brains, and our mouths. That's it. That's it. Some of us know how to work public records better than other people. Some other people know how to work computers and scraping and, other stuff that many of us have no clue about, right? Other people may be better producers or know the best products to use for the best, live stream imaginable. But when you put all those things together, and I'm removing the hate channels because they no longer exist anymore, because they no longer exist in our world. We're here for good, not bad or evil. So you remove all that, you got a bunch of people that have a lot of gifts that can really benefit this case and other cases. And it really upsets me that people try to hinder that. People try to hurt that, or are so egotistical to think that they're the only ones that can do anything. And so arrogant that it's their will or the highway, or so abusive and controlling that they're going to beat you into submission, whether virtually or otherwise. You know, I mean, these are the kind of people that are on the other side. I don't want nothing to do with them. Nothing. I'm here for Sebastian. I care about Seth's well-being. I value my friendship with him. I value my friendship with Tony. But at the end of the day, if I didn't have their support, do you think my commentary would be any different? It would not. Why? Because Seth, at the end of the day, didn't have anything to do with it. This is a high-functioning autistic boy that had very limited friends or any third-party contact other than students and teachers. His sphere is very small. The sphere of influence and the people in his life is very, very small. Who has the motives, means, and opportunity? Well, it's definitely not a third party. And the last I checked, it wasn't his distant relatives that could get into that house to coerce him out or to remove him from the house. To me, it seems like there's only 2 people that would have access to that house without breaking into the home. Again, further limiting the possible people that came into contact with Sebastian Wayne Drake Rogers. There was nobody identified that had seen them from strikes and spares that followed them, or from the Texas Roadhouse on home. There's no evidence of that. There's no information to support that. The last thing we saw is Sebastian getting into a vehicle with his mother and never being seen again. If you really want to strip away all the bullshit and just have the facts, there they are. There's the facts. This child has not been seen again since loading into a car with his mother and heading home. And when people say, well, he was last seen on the 26th, okay, where's the receipts? I don't want to report. Who saw him? Who saw him? Because law enforcement said there was no video cameras that picked him up. There was no scent from the dogs that tracked him. And they have yet to find an eyewitness that saw him that morning. So when we have conflicting statements from law enforcement themselves, what do? For me, I trust my own judgment and I go back to the drawing board and look at the facts. And at the end of the day, based on the information that law enforcement has given us, there has been no third party, unless they're withholding the information, that has seen this child after 6:25 on February 25th in the evening. Chris said, hey Shay, it's nice to see you. Chris said that if someone came up on the front porch, the camera would have caught something. Yep. That's another thing that this SF Yahoo stated. Let's finish listening to this cockapoo. And then I'm going to go to 21-minute mark and let you listen to him say that he's never worked for an attorney for a defense or prosecutor.
Aircraft lead, and one department being the Attorney General's office, and missing persons ran through there.
Oh,
and there would be
so the attorney's office, missing persons ran through there. He's worked for them. Let's just go back and make sure we heard that. Go back to 10 seconds, because this is going to be important. Because 20 minutes later, he contradicts the statement, much like his clients do.
Their aircraft fleet, and one department being the Attorney General's office, and missing persons ran through there. And there would be searches that would be conducted that using the state aircraft, and so that was my first kind of introduction to it. And then from there, I went to as a fixed wing pilot to a private team in Texas that this is
fragmented sentences all over. Just stops.
25 years ago. So
convincing language.
Before thermal drones and whatnot. So we were mainly looking for like downed aircraft or people that were lost in really remote areas using FLIR and whatnot. And so I always have stayed with search and rescue, and I started, search and rescue involves a degree of investigation, right? It has to you have
has to be a degree of investigation in there somewhere.
Branch, or extension for that search of law enforcement.
Right.
And from there, it just kind of it went into where I became in-house investigator for a law firm that specialized in family law. So there was
law firm. Let's go over here. Let's just go down. Is that true?
My client is Sebastian, and
here it is. Listen to this.
The guardians that have the ability to sign. One thing I want to make clear is that I've never ever worked for a defense attorney or a prosecutor.
Didn't he just say the prosecutor, the DA? You know what the DA is? The DA is a prosecutor. Didn't he say he was working for the DA or the missing persons branch of the state of whatever? And now he's saying he has never worked for an attorney or a prosecutor. So where did his experience come from? Because I know here in Florida, you have to work under somebody, under a private investigator for 2 years in order to get that license. And what he's described here is not 2 years of saturated private investigative work. So where is he getting his credit hours? But you know what I'm saying? Like he's just said on the very beginning of this, he's worked for the DA. And then on the other flip side, he's never worked for an attorney or a prosecutor. I heard I suck at everything, so I blame a PI. SW, that's hilarious. You can't crack me up this early in the morning. Oh, Sweet Misery is in the house. You know who I haven't said hi to in a little bit? Mr. and Mrs. Car Guy. I know they're always here, but I must miss them in chat because I was thinking last night, I'm like, you know who I haven't said hi to in a really, really long time? Mr. and Mrs. Car Guy. So I know they're in here somewhere. So hi, Mr. and Mrs. Car Guy. Somehow I always seem to miss your names coming in for some reason. Go up here. I couldn't stand it after a while and left like Lore Lodge, but it was a total, it wasn't the Lore Lodge's fault. This guy just talks in circles. He's already spent so much time talking about 20 minutes of just bullcrap. Just bullcrap. I agree, Seth is innocent. Thank God for you, Betty and Tony. Support Seth. Absolutely. I mean, I get long-winded sometimes, but not when I'm in the hot seat, you know. I listen to the question and I answer the question. It's like he's so busy trying to figure out what the best answer is instead of just speaking. That's what's causing the ums, because your head's moving so fast. And at this point, you know, I mean, he should be what upsets me the most, though, is his lack of understanding who Sebastian Rogers is as a person. Did you guys notice how he almost failed to, like, he didn't know literally the basics of this boy? Did you guys notice that, or was it just me? Maybe I was just too biased. That's what I noticed. But to me, it seemed to me like he didn't really know who Sebastian was. As a matter of fact, it didn't even seem like he has been talking to Chris and Katie all that much, because stuff that they spoke out of their own mouth, he was contradicting. I'm starting to think that way. What did he mean by autistic certified? I never heard of that. I've never heard of that before. I'd like to see receipts, but he's got a printer. He'll just manufacture it. The truth doesn't change and lies are hard to remember. I wonder what kind of guard he was. How did he treat the inmates? They could hold a group grudge, seek retaliation. Yeah, but he's been there, I think. I don't know how long he's been with the body he's with, Davison County. But I know in the grand scheme of things, it's relatively short. So and from what I'm understanding, if I recall everything correctly, most of those people, at least the pod that he's in, are there for the most violent of the violent, the high profile, like the high security inmates. So it sounds like the people that he's watching over are most likely not ever getting out of jail. So I don't know if anybody he would have oversaw in that particular pod would be able to seek retaliation or a grudge because they're not getting out. Oh, thank you, Jules. Welcome to this crazy crew we call the Coffee Club, i.e. the Insane Asylum. You're in the padded room to the left of me. To the left, to the right, to the right, to the left, to the left. Now dip, baby, dip. Okay, I need to stop. I'm going back to the 90s. I'm showing my age. You guys didn't hear me do that. If you tell anybody, I'm lying. I'm lying. Woman's Warrior says, Betty, I feel Lore Lodge did the best he could with the kind of person he was interviewing. He knew he could not get anything other than with SF was giving, so he did it well. I absolutely, I have no qualms whatsoever with the Lore Lodge at all. Like, I think he did great. And not only that, but in all fairness, he allowed the unscrupulous PI to be viewed as the unscrupulous, uneducated, unprepared person that he was. You know, this guy wasn't, he you know, seems when he's on his social media or his soapbox, he's got daggers for anybody that's not believing the way he is. And then when he's on here, he's kind of like straddling the fence. Did you guys notice it? He really wouldn't commit one way or another. The one thing he wouldn't do is even entertain the possibility of his clients being responsible. That is poor, because we even entertained Seth being responsible until it was proven that he was not. So if he's not even going to entertain it and resolve it, isn't that really already kind of telling us, like, why won't you address it, look into it, and resolve it and move on like we did with Seth? He won't do that. So that tells me there's something more there. Just my opinion. Just my opinion. But I absolutely respect. I told the Lore Lodge that. And of course, I got to have my snarky comment. The Lore Lodge is probably rolling his eyes at Bullhorn Betty saying, oh, her with the comment. I can't help it. I try. Lord knows I try. I even prayed this morning. I prayed for everybody in chat. Prayed for my little puppy. Prayed for my family. And then I prayed for me and my mouth. And, you know, it helps some days. Some days it doesn't. I'm a work in progress. And I'm perfectly fine with that. I noticed and got so PO'd he was saying he worked for him. Yeah, I know. When he started saying that he worked for... Yeah, I get it. I absolutely get it. Exactly like when it was how much Sebastian liked kitties because he can make it tight around him for comfort. What the hell was that? I have no idea. Some of the stuff he said, oh, Outer Banks, God bless you. Thank you so much, Love Bug. I agree. I left after an hour. I couldn't I will be honest with you. I stayed there all the way until the end, until Steve got off. I wish I would have stayed for the commentary, but honestly, it had nothing to do with anything Aiden did. My head just hurt. I was so confused during that whole entire interview that I actually had to go back to it and listen to some of it this morning because my head was literally hurt, like it was throbbing. I've never had that experience, but I can tell it had to do with me looking at my phone, probably squinting my eyes because I probably wasn't wearing my glasses, trying to read the chat. The chat's running up a mile a minute. The guy's not even formulating sentences. I'm like, what the hell are you talking about? Just complete the excuse me, you know, the fa-la-la-la-la-la sentence, right? And he just wouldn't finish a sentence, and then he kept doing it over and over again, and I'm like, this is driving me absolutely mad. I'm going to be a mad woman. I'm going to be a mad woman. I'm seriously going to be in an insane asylum. It's not going to be a joke anymore. They're going to put a freaking, like, I couldn't handle anymore. I'm like hitting my head. Answer the damn question. Answer the damn question, you SOB. Okay, I'm stopped. Don't think I wasn't. You guys know darn well I was. I was grabbing this phone. I was smacking it around. I'm like, answer the damn question. Oh my gosh, thank you, Gypsy. I went to push you to put you up on the screen, but it won't let me do that. Thank you. 10 Bullhorn Betty memberships were gifted by our beautiful Gypsy. Thank you so much, Love Bug. I appreciate it. I appreciate it. So, I mean, I don't want anybody dogging the Lore Lodge. I think people are right. I think he assessed his interviewee. He probably analyzed his behavior and identified his patterns of behavior, and probably most likely realized that if he doesn't kind of bow, it's all opinions. I don't speak to Aiden. Aiden probably knows my name, but that's probably about it, right? But I feel like he probably realized it would have been unproductive, because what would end up happening, let's just play the tape through, which is probably what Aiden and his friend did. They seem like they're pretty smart, you know. Usually it's just me bouncing things off of me. They have each other to bounce stuff off on. And they probably talked about this dude's personality and, you know, what would end up triggering him and what does that triggering look like. And I think they just realized it was going to be too dysfunctional to do anymore. But again, my theory is I truly believe he was making a point that he could respect the opposing viewpoints in an effort to try to have that conversation with hopefully Katie and Chris, to answer the questions directly. Because let's face it, when he asked questions that SF should have known, he didn't know. Which is the reason why I say I don't even believe he's talking to his alleged client. You know, because there was information that he stated that the parents have contradicted multiple times. And so I have to believe he didn't get that from Katie or Chris, because he's not doing his proper research, and he's speaking about information we already know about, and he was not being truthful about it. It was making me feel, I'll listen to him. That is a sign of a good person listening to someone evil, in my opinion. I'm like, that with all the side of things. Did you hear much CP and KP are paying him? A $15,000 retainer and $2,400 a day, but he says he's for Sebastian. Yeah. And somebody says, somebody in the chat was like, oh, Bullhorn Betty, you're not being paid. No, I would never charge family for anything. We don't charge families airfare. We don't charge families. There's been times like in Quentin Simon, I paid for people's hotel rooms to come out and help, you know. We don't charge anybody anything. We just do what we can do to bring attention to a case, and you know, when we see something wrong, we act on it. You know, we act within the confines of the law. The Constitution is broad, right? And we follow that along with the state laws and along with the local ordinances to a T, to make sure that we can be the most powerful voice we can be for the causes that we get involved in the victims that we are trying to help. So no, he's not. I don't believe either, Maria. But overall, what did you guys think of Aiden? I thought Aiden was knowledgeable and presented himself well to the world. Would you guys agree with that? Yeah. I'm here in Tennessee, and he is wrong about the abuse part. What do you mean by that, Steph? Wrong about what? Mom of 3 girls. The stream brought nothing new to the table. Laura Lodge did a terrible job interviewing a known liar. They just brushed past all of the allegations and did not research or debunk SF's claim. I do agree with that. I think that he should have challenged him. But we also, do you think that it's possibly done for a purpose, like just fact finding, get a baseline for him, and then later, after speaking to like Tony and Seth and Katie and Chris, and then maybe dovetailing back to him and saying, well, this is what I found, this is what I found from, what do you have to say about this? I mean, so some people think he did a terrible job, some people think he did good. Now, do you guys think he did the ones that think he did a terrible job, is it just because he failed to address or challenge certain things? And what does that look like? What does challenging SF look like? Because in my opinion, it sounds to me like if he did challenge him, all he would start doing was insulting him, and there would be the information would stop. At least this way, he got all the way to the end of the interview and didn't have those. He just let the man talk. I mean, I honestly believe SF put his own foot in his mouth multiple times. I think everybody out there in the ether thought of him as a putz and a dumbass because he couldn't answer some of the basic questions. And quite frankly, Aiden didn't even have to challenge him on anything for that to be my opinion. Now, granted, I am a little biased. The man's been stalking me and always involving himself into every single case that I pick up. Remember, I'm always involved in these cases. He was acting last night like I'm following him around. I'm in these cases months before him. When did he get involved in this case? In November? How long have I been in this case? I've been in this case since the beginning of March. And he's trying to make it sound like he's got some type of groupie thing going on. Boo-boo, you are the groupie. You got 15 million families to stalk and harass and try to get, con out of money. Why are you always getting involved in only the cases I cover? I cover one case at a time. So literally, you've been following me around, and the proof is in the pudding because I've been covering this case since November, and you've got a contract from November or March. I've been in March. You got a contract in November. Doesn't that mean that I was involved in this case a hell of a lot more months before he came along? Saying BHB followed him here. I know. Well, the good news is I have these things he doesn't like to show. It's called receipts, right? Now, we have what's known over here in the true crime world as these things like that are called receipts. And that's not a physical receipt that says, mounts. It's basically saying that I can prove when I started this case way back in March because I've got videos all the way back in March. I also got, whenever I started in Layla's case, he wasn't in that case either until after I had already went out there and blew it up. He didn't come in until 5 months after me. So when you go challenge him, please ask him why is he constantly saying I'm following him when it's clear he doesn't get involved in these cases until months after I'm in them, and it's usually after I've already made the case go viral. As in Layla Santinello. Nobody would help that lady out. Nobody would help her get her daughter's name out. Me and Olivia went out there and made that case go viral in a weekend. In a weekend. Trust me. He'll never have that gift. Didn't KP have boyfriend until she was 17 and then dated Seth at 18? That was according to the interview that we had with Ayeda. And all of that stuff related to that, I think, is going to be debunked. I think Seth is going to be debunk it. But not only that, think about it. This is one place where he was respectfully challenged. Aiden said, what proof do you have? Are you relying on? And he basically said, I know proof's out there somewhere. That's not enough proof to accuse somebody, especially when you're representing the mom. When you're representing the mom, you better have your facts. Well, according to the mother told me that the summer of 1992, this is what they did and this is where they were. I absolutely 100% believe that he hurt her during that time because that's what she told me. He didn't have one scintilla of receipts. All he basically says, I know something's out there. Listen to Seth's own words. He never said one time, not one time, that his client told him that information. He kept trying to say it was based on Seth's statement, but when you listen to Seth's actual statement, it didn't support what he was saying. So, again, it comes down to these things called receipts. And every time, because you guys are saying that Aiden didn't challenge him, but he did respectfully, very mildly. He even asked him, you know, what about these videos? Why don't you just release a video showing the front? Oh, well, no, nobody's entitled to them. You're right, we're not entitled to them, but you guys are wanting us to believe this. And if you want us to believe this information coming from you, you have to give us a reason to believe it. You can't just say, hey, trust me, this is the true crime genre, and you are representing the two people that were most likely around this child and the only people that had access to this child when this child disappeared, and you're wanting us to believe you? I'm sorry, I'm not that trusting as a human being. I'm just not. If you can't prove it, it doesn't exist. So you can't sit here on one hand and tell us to believe that nothing happened while you're sitting on the tapes that could prove that nothing happened, and then tell us, no, you're not entitled to that. You just need to believe what I'm saying. That's not how it works. It's not how it works for me. It's not how it works for my audience. And it's definitely not how it works for a person that we know and have identified as a major liar, such as this unscrupulous PI. No, I don't trust you. No, I'm not going to take your word for it, nor should anybody else when you are representing the devil. Satan himself. No, thank you. No, thank you. Thank you, Justice Jane, reminding us missing 330 days in Hendersonville, Tennessee. Sebastian Rogers, autistic, Caucasian, 16, 5 foot, 5 inches tall, 120 pounds with brown hair, was last seen on February 25th, 2024 with black long sleeves, black pants, barefoot, keychain, $250,000 reward. Thank you so very much. Mom of 3 girls says, when Seth goes on the Lore Lodge, that chat better be as controlled as it was for SF. You couldn't even support Sebastian in the chat without being timed out. Well, since SF was allowed to have conditions on his show, then maybe, you know, Seth is in here. I'm sure he hears everybody's cries. Then I would set some conditions so that doesn't happen on the Lore Lodge when they go on. You know, it seems like he's open to conditions. Just food for thought. Aw, thank you, Justice Jane. Heartbreaking to say, 1,231 days. Summer Wells from Rogersville, Tennessee. The Wells family reported their 5-year-old missing around 6:30 p.m. on June 15, 2021. She was last seen with a pink shirt and gray shorts. If you have any information, please reach out to 1-800-TBI-FIND, which is also, interestingly enough, the same number for Sebastian Waindrake Rogers. Gypsy says that's because he has to try to make you look bad. By mentioning you, more people pay attention to him. He is using your clout. Yeah, but he's also getting the hate, right? Because I've been around a while. Nobody likes him. They see how abusive he is for the people we care about. I mean, he's threatened to expose Candace Cooley, Dylan Round's mom, when she fired him. He said the same exact thing to Jen Santinello when she wanted nothing to do with him. Anytime anybody opposes them, they're psychologically warped. They're got problems. They're a mental basket case. The only person he's describing is himself. So he uses the same, toolbox and the same motivation for each person. He's not very creative, and it's just, if you hear it, any person that goes against him, what does he say? Oh, you've got to be a mental basket case. He said that about literally every single person he doesn't like. So it's like the boy that cried wolf. He absolutely makes no sense, and the more he barks, the less people hear. I just saw a post from the Lore Lodge commenting on a statement SF said after last night's interview. I just saw a post from Lore Lodge commenting. Oh, that might have been the one that I read this morning. Let me go over to X. Let's see. I did read something this morning, but I haven't. It's only one post. I didn't go over there and really look to see what was said. Oh, wow, this was just an hour ago. All right, SF investigates. I was being nice by not asking this on a live stream, but why did you tell me that you only began being paid on November 14th, 2024, when you yourself said you were being paid as early as October 21st, 2021? And this is from our beautiful Gypsy Nielsen. She says, is this how you are able to help find Sebastian? Does your clients know this is how you are able to, you are investigating? Are they paying you to do this instead of looking for Sebastian? Yes, they do know, and yes, they are paying me. And this was on October 24th, 2024. Once again, caught in a lie. There's got to be more to come, Aiden. Well, this is disappointing. Oh, what is this from? I'm physically ill that I actually participated in an interview with a group that's defending predatory behavior. She was 12 when they met. Poor Sebastian. Well, it seems like you had an opportunity, SF, to present the evidence you have, and you had none. What are you? A big fat zero. What did you have to support your statements? Nothing. Oh, but it's everybody else's fault because nobody wants to believe a habitual liar. Got it. And so the Lore Lodge said, well, this is disappointing. I thought tonight's conversation was very productive and cordial. I find it very disingenuous that Steve is now painting our request for evidence of the accusation that Seth groomed Katie as defending predatory behavior. Welcome to the shit show, Aiden. Welcome to the narcissistic piece of shit known as the unscrupulous PI that literally lies about everything. Everything. The man lies about everything. That's why we wanted you to pull out the gloves and take him for a walk in the park. Now you understand. I'm telling you, I still think you did great. I gave you a B-, but you should have gotten an A++++, because you are an A++++ type of commentator. That's why. I should have doxed a little bit more off that too. Should have been a C, but you're the Lore Lodge, so I gave you a B-. Is that wrong of me to do that? That's not good teaching, to favor one student over the other. They're not students, okay? But you know what I'm saying? Like if you're grading, I think of grading as teacher-student type of thing. I'm grading based upon my observations, not a teacher-student type of thing. But I'm grading him, and I'm not giving him what I think he should get because of who he is. Is that wrong? That's kind of like voting into the have and have-nots, isn't it? Just a little bit. I'm still keeping him a B-, but I'm not changing it. Claiming someone groomed his ex-wife as a child is a very serious allegation. If you're going to say that this happened, you need to be able to provide hard evidence. And that is true. I see nothing wrong with the statements of the Lore Lodge or asking for proof of the allegations. Nani says SF needs to go back to human biology and sex education class, saying a woman couldn't get pregnant after terminations. I tried saying, people don't realize how quickly you go. Like I had an ectopic, and I remember my gynecologist telling me I had to be ultra careful because he said that the possibility of getting pregnant again goes up like, I mean, it was ridiculously high percentages of how quickly you can get pregnant from this situation. So, you know, there was, I did not know that. The only reason why I do know that to this day is because of a personal experience of mine. And that was my first realization how quickly. That's why they tell you when you have a baby, you cannot be, you know, they tell you it's for healing purposes, but your body really can't go through the shock of 2 pregnancies back to back. But if you notice, there have been a lot of women that have 2 pregnancies back to back. Why is that? Because as soon as you have a baby, you're more fertile. As soon as you get pregnant, you're more fertile the next go round. That's why. Thank you, Nani, for bringing up, you know. But even I, up until I was, 30 years old, I didn't realize that. So I know now. But again, it comes from an experience I personally had. Trust is earned, and not many of them have proven anything that we can trust. Sebastian is at the end of the rainbow, and we need to find him. Amen. Criminal theory and action. Thank you for that. Sorta Morta says, no thinking logical person should believe everything anyone says without proving it for themselves. Nothing. Exactly. And not only that, how the hell would this unscrupulous PI, which I have a funny feeling has probably done his own fair share of nastiness to women, just a little hunch, okay? So how would he feel to be called a pedo with not one scintilla of information? How would he like himself being put in jeopardy by being classified as a pedo without, how would he feel if he was in the shoes that he's putting Seth in? Because it's easy to put somebody in those shoes until you have to walk a mile in those. And then all of a sudden it's unfair and you're a victim. Just saying. Just saying. SF should have been prepared with receipts of the claim. Yeah, absolutely. And everybody says that Aiden didn't challenge him, but he did challenge him on a few things, okay? He did challenge him on a few things. Let's keep listening. Oh, here's some more. The Lore Lodge, that is an entirely different accusation from saying he groomed her from the time she was 12. Additionally, Georgia does not allow marriage at 17, or does allow marriage at 17 under certain conditions, and it has an age of consent of 16. I don't like the age gap or how young she was, but I haven't seen proof that Seth did anything illegal here. You can't just make accusations like that. So I do appreciate this coming from the Lore Lodge. It looks like Hong's already chimed in here. Hong's in here saying, my question is what does that have to do with Sebastian vanishing anyways? What is their next story going to be about? Time travel or something? Next they'll say it was Elmo. Bro, you did good unless you let him take control. You're a problem. He will start logging into 369 accounts to harass you and validate himself. So sad. Everybody knows this man, and if you don't know that, let me just break it down for you. This unscrupulous PI has a lot, and I mean a lot, of sock accounts where he's actually spending days communicating between him and himself. And he's having conversations. We're hearing that Vern guy, that Vern Gilbert, is possibly SF. And he's been supporting and having public conversations with SF for a really long time. Now, isn't that pitiful? Who needs to do that? And they call themselves a professional PI. They have to go out of their way to create all of these accounts to make the image, the facade that they're a great. How many of those accounts did he use to make you believe he found someone, like he just recently got caught doing? People need to think this man is really, really a con artist. And does it really surprise you from California? No offense, my California But you guys got some whacked out ones there, okay? Can you guys please come get your criminal and take him home, please? All of my Californians. You guys created him. It's time for you to take him back. I'm just saying. I motion the body. I motion the coffee club to make our California family members take their crazy cat back. Do I get a second? Can I get a second in the house? I need a second, and then we all need to vote. I say he has to go back. I think they have to put him back in the box, okay? He's not our problem. You Californians created the monster. You have to take him back, and you got to feed him. And make sure you change his diaper, okay? I heard it's a stinky one, too. We got some seconds in the house. All in favor, say aye. 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 Okay, we have officially made our first Bullhorn Betty Coffee Club ordinance that our California Coffee Club are now ultimately responsible for the unscrupulous PI baby, okay? Now, if you want to keep him in soiled diapers, I'm happy to look the other way, okay? I'll act as if I'm Sebastian's caseworker. It seemed like that's what she did. So I'll take the role of Sebastian's caseworker. You guys leave the baby in the soiled diaper, and he's got to stay in California. Okay, all right. Now that we're done with really important coffee club business, we need to get back to the task at hand. Just don't feed it after midnight. Or let it get into water. Oh, well, you know what? I don't think that's effective on him because he's already gremlin, okay? Do you drop it on a gremlin? Do they turn into more gremlins? I thought you had to do it from the little baby cutie guy. And then the water turns him into a gremlin. I think he's already been hit with water. Because we definitely know the man's a gremlin. I need to stop. Okay, let's get back. Get our heads out of the cloud. You guys know how to take me on a detour. All right, I'm going to go through this interview again. I'm going to get some more stuff. I did want you guys to understand where I'm coming from. We know he's full of crap. I'm really interested. Listen, the deception detective was in there. I hope he does a live on it. I don't think he will, probably because he doesn't want to be part of the drama or the controversy, I would presume. But I definitely think that there was a lot of places in there. Just the little bit we know from the work we've done on body language, not even statement analysis. I'm starting to pick up, little key things in the statement, and not that I'll ever be perfect in it, or a perfectionist in it, or proficient in it, but it's just a few extra tools that might be beneficial for me in the future. And I gotta say, just the little bit that I've learned from the deception detective, I feel like a lot of his statements were not true, or could have been deceptive, or appeared to be deceptive on their face. There were some things that he was being truthful about, but there was a lot that he was not, in my opinion. So, do I know? I don't. That's my opinion. It doesn't make it fact. It doesn't make it anything other than my opinion. I don't believe him. I don't think I ever will believe him. But I've been dealing with his bull crap for literally, 3 years, and I'm quite tired of it. The man needs his license stripped away from him. What he does in these cases is damn near criminal, if not outright criminal. So I'm sorry. I'm never going to back off of it until that man's license is gone. Or he turns into a respectable PI. But I don't think that narcissistic pig is going to be able to do it. DD has stated he doesn't try to solve crimes. None of us try to solve crimes. I'm not a crime solver. Out of all the work I've done, I've come close to providing, we've provided a lot of information, but the Colin Knapp case, if we could have just gotten across that swamp. I'm in tennis shoes and shorts. There was water moccasins in that water. I couldn't get over there, but we knew where she was. You know what I'm saying? We knew where she was. So there have been multiple cases that I have been involved with that have produced fruit, you know, and it really does bother me that he has to manufacture his accolades when we're out here working our ass off for ours. That's it. That's it. I don't think he'll ever be honest. I don't think he'll ever be honest, but I can tell you it is harder than people think, and there's no possibility of him garnering 23 people in 2023. I call bullshit. I think he's a liar. I think he lied about how he got into this. I think he has lied about his work hours in order to get his licenses in some of these states. And he had an opportunity to express how he got here, and I can tell you that is not qualifications for a PI. Just saying. God bless. Have a great day, guys. We'll be back later this afternoon. Love you. Oh, hold on. Let me get here. I didn't say thank you to all the people. I'm so sorry. I get bad about this. Oh, wow. There's a lot more than I thought. I've missed a lot. Tracy, thank you so very much. SW, thank you. I heard I sucked at everything, so I became a PI. That is basically what he said. Okay, that's hilarious. Jules, thank you for being the newest member of this crazy crew we call the Coffee Club. Outer Banks, I love you. Thank you so much for that. That was very much appreciated. Gypsy, thank you for the beautiful 10 Bullhorn Betty memberships. And Serenity, thank you so much for your super chat. It says, I just saw a post from Lore Lodge commenting on the statements from SF. Sounds like he had a few statements. So I definitely tell you guys, go on ahead and get over to the Lore Lodge. Watch that interview if you haven't watched it, if you can deal with it. My head is literally splitting open right now. So it was splitting open last night, and I dread having to watch it. But I'm going to watch it because we got a show to do, and this is what we're going to be talking about. So anyways, guys, I will see you later this afternoon. Don't forget to be fearless. If you see something, say something. An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. And until next time, please be safe, but more importantly, kind to one another. God bless, guys. We'll see you soon.